One thing that's forever going to make me laugh is how people take one piece of a story that they don't have full context to and turn it into something that it has never been nor what it will ever be. And they'll continuously gaslight people who follow them and those who are trying to seek information into believing that this specific thing is something that it's not, all based on information that only one person was able to gather and only picked and choose which part of it was important enough. And if you're somebody like me who tends to call out the tactics of individuals that like to do that, you'll probably be called transphobic or misogynist or racist because instead of just taking a hot take and running with it, you decided to pick all the pieces and combine them and actually get to the truth or actually wait for more information instead of just drumming up a hot take and calling anyone who disagrees with you some form of an insult because you can't handle actual facts. You're only pertaining to what you hold inside, which is your pathetic little feelings. And in my opinion, if you do that, you walk a dangerous line of misinformation and mistrust, because it's important for people who have these 15-second clips or have just a headline of a news article to actually take the time to dig deeper into the situation, therefore knowing about more and more details as they progress. Because if you just go based off of a hot take and then you turn out to be wrong and people find out that you're wrong, people are going to look at you and think that you tried to spin something a certain way and try to get everybody to say a certain thing that fits your narrative instead of sticking to the truth. And with all that being said, I have something I would like to show all of you that I believe proves my point.
Tonight, a former Virginia Tech football player is a free man after a jury found him not guilty on murder charges. We break down the results of this 3-day trial. It took jurors 3.5 hours to decide the fate of 19-year-old Isi Atute. The former Virginia Tech football player was found not guilty Friday of second-degree murder for the death of Jerry Smith. Atute's family and friends erupted with the news, and Atute was visibly emotional following the decision. He's
going to get his life back now.
Atute's lawyer, Jimmy Turk, told reporters he prepared Atute for the worst, but is so happy the jury got it right. Turk had argued Atute acted in self-defense. Atute took the stand earlier this week, saying after he matched with a woman named Angie online, he discovered she was actually a man. And during a sexual encounter, Atute was worried that man, we now know as Jerry Smith, was reaching for a gun.
I think this should be an eye-opener, not just for college athletes. I think for any young people that are using these social media platforms. They can be extremely useful, but they can be extremely dangerous.
Now, if you were to go on Twitter and look up the individuals' names regarding this situation, you would see some individuals going all the way back to last year and within the past 15 hours saying things like, this is obviously another case of transphobia. The justice system doesn't help transgenders. The justice system only caters to people who are violent towards transgenders. Gay and trans panic and whatever other buzzword people can throw out to make it stick that this was a transphobic attack. However, if you were to get the research from the courtroom and actually read what was said and how the court process took place, you'll come to find out that yet again, Twitter activists don't know what they're talking about. Wednesday marked day one of the trial against former Virginia Tech football player, I'm not even going to attempt that, Atute. He is charged with second-degree murder in the death of 40-year-old Jerry Smith on May 31st of 2021. Atute has pleaded not guilty. In court, Atute's lawyers argued that he acted in self-defense because he thought Smith was reaching for a weapon the night of the alleged murder. The Commonwealth says Atute should be found guilty of second-degree murder for killing Smith after discovering the person he had sexual encounters with was in fact a man and not a woman. Prosecutors said that Atute had every right to be angry at the situation, but Jerry didn't deserve to die. The first part of the day was spent selecting the jury. 9 women and 4 men, including 1 alternate, were ultimately selected. Several potential jurors were dismissed because of previous knowledge of or biases in regard to the case. Then it was time for opening statements and witness testimony. During the court proceeding, Atute's lawyers said that the jury would hear from Atute himself. Smith's brother John Smith testified that he was the first to find Jerry's body on June 1st of 2021. He said that he didn't agree with his brother being gay, but he did not know that Jerry was presenting as a straight woman. Police say Atute first matched with Smith on Tinder on April 10th. Smith had been posting as a 28-year-old woman named Angie, and I've been seeing Twitter posts of alleged Instagram DMs of this same person with a phone number. I don't know if that's the actual person that's catfishing or if this is some random person y'all are trying to frame to make it stick. Either way, it's important to understand that this person was catfishing people in order to get sex, which I'm going to have to look and confirm if it is true, is a crime. The jury heard from an expert with the medical examiner's office who said that almost every bone in Smith's face was broken and that he actually inhaled the blood from his injuries. The defense objected to several gruesome pictures showing Smith's bloody face, but the judge allowed them to be presented to the jury as evidence. Investigators testified that a large serrated kitchen knife was found in between Smith's mattress and box spring. The defense then presented that knife to the jury as evidence in the case. The Commonwealth objected to showing pictures of another knife in Smith's basement, but the judge allowed that to be admitted into evidence. Investigators say another Virginia Tech football player, Jalen Hampton, had met up with Angie in the same day Smith was killed. They said Etoot was with a third Virginia Tech football player, Jordan Brunson, when Hampton called Etoot to discuss whether they thought Angie was a man or not. The defense said that Hampton described his encounter with Angie as sketchy. Lawyers in the court said that the group planned to confront Angie. That's when Etoot went back to Angie's apartment and the two had another sexual encounter before Etoot discovered Smith was a man and allegedly beat him to death. Graphic images of Smith's body were shown in court. The expert from the medical examiner's office said that Smith died from blunt force trauma to the head. He had fractures to nearly every bone in his face. The expert also testified that there was a bloody foam found around Smith's mouth, which was a result of him inhaling blood from his injuries. So in reading an article about the case and how it transpired and how we got to this point, you get more information as opposed to a random person on Twitter calling everybody transphobic. You understand that this person was catfish. You understand that this person confronted somebody about who they were and what their sexuality was or how they identify or however you want to spin that. You understand that this person had a fear of a knife being reached for or a weapon and realizing that you have to act in self-defense. And what's weird about these self-defense cases, might I add, is that people seem to always want to have the mindset of, you don't know what a person is doing, so how could you act on impulse, without critically thinking for a moment that if a person waits long enough, they could lose their life or get shot or get stabbed. And I think we could all agree that that's not something any of us want to have happen to ourselves. So going based off of assuming this person is reaching for a weapon and then coming to find out that a knife was under the bed, you're slowly going to start to understand that this person had reason to start acting in self-defense and not the weird assumption that, oh, he found out that this person was a man after having another round of a blowjob and sex and then deciding it's time to beat you up now. I want to end this video on a couple of points. Point number one, I don't care if you're a man, woman, gay, straight, lesbian, trans, black, white, Asian, Indonesian, any of these things. If you have to disguise yourself as something you're not in order to get some sexual gratification from somebody younger than you and you're preying on them and you for some reason think that you could use whatever sexuality you are as a shield from criticism, you're a piece of shit. Point number two is a reply to one of these weird activists trying to make everything transphobic. I feel like this story is being misrepresented. The man who does not identify as trans targeted an 18-year-old by posing as a 21-year-old woman online. He also got consent by deception to perform sexual acts on the boy. The gay trans panic law was not applied to this case. No, Jerry Smith should not have been murdered, but this tweet and thread is very harmful to the trans community since the situation did not involve them at all, and which leads to point number three. I get that some of y'all want to make everything stick and try to have your feelings matter in a situation that has nothing to do with you, but please, for the love of everything that is unholy and holy, do research in these situations. If you are going on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram and you see the headline and you see the reaction is, oh my God, it's this obvious thing and you disagree with me, you're obviously an ist or an ism or a phobic, you need to do basic research. It takes about 3 minutes to Google anything and about 5 to read any article about it. You can go into a situation blind and not know anything, which is fine, but just blindly believing somebody and expecting them to just be truthful, and if you criticize them or if you see someone else actually putting in the time to do research criticizing them and their response is to just throw insults, that is not somebody you should be getting information from. Why? Because they're not trustworthy. Why? Because they're trying to fit some weird idea into people's minds about a situation where they don't even have the full context. It's obvious that this person should not have lost their life all because of this. They should have been in jail. That's without a doubt. Nobody can argue me down. No insult can change my mind. This person should be in jail. But because somebody acted in the pretense of self-defense all over a weapon that was confirmed to be in the mattress of this piece of shit, we are where we are. And there's a part of me that feels a little bit bad that somebody had their life ruined all over getting some sexual acts from a piece of shit that's disguising themselves as a woman. So subscribe to the channel. I'll see y'all in the next one. Goodbye.